My name's Sue Wan, 43 years old, 12 years at Hengyuan Group. I'd just been laid off. Lin Wei, the HR director, slid the termination contract across her desk, her hands visibly trembling. The severance package only followed the minimum legal N+1 calculation, no extra compensation for 12 years of cross-department labor I'd carried alone. I scanned the fine print once, grabbed the pen, and signed without a single question. Lin Wei's jaw dropped. She'd braced for hours of arguing, bargaining, or tears from a long-tenured middle-aged staffer. Aren't you going to fight this? Ask for better severance, push back on the layoff decision. I set the pen down flat on her marble desk, no anger edging my tone, just quiet exhaustion built up over a decade of unrecognized labor. Fight for what? A company that's decided my position is disposable doesn't value my work enough to negotiate with anyway. I stood, grabbed my chipped ceramic work mug from the visitor's side of the table, and headed back to my tiny corner workstation to pack my belongings. My drawer held nothing personal, a stainless steel thermos, a half-empty tin of aged green tea, and a crumpled crayon drawing my daughter Su Nian made when she was 7. 3 minutes flat, I zipped everything into a canvas tote bag. Then I pulled up a 12-page, fully itemized handoff checklist I'd prepped weeks prior, anticipating the axe might fall amid the company's cost optimization, overhaul led by their newly hired VP, Zhou Han. Shen Lei, the mid-level operations supervisor assigned to absorb all my responsibilities, took the printed stack from my hands, flipping page after page with mounting disbelief that curdled into pale, cold panic by the final sheet. All of this is your workload? Every single task listed here? Most of it, yeah. Every department dumped tedious, specialized, system-building work on me over the years. Stuff their own teams lack the patience or skill to build and maintain long-term. 8 separate departments rely on you for core process files, vendor spreadsheets, financial reconciliation templates, event scheduling trackers, client complaint classification databases, project timelines, and executive meeting minutes. I can't take all this on single-handedly. There's no feasible way to split it across our existing team. I slung my tote over one shoulder, no lingering to offer makeshift training or quick cheat sheets he'd beg for later. Take that up with upper management. They're called to cut my role. They're problem distributing the workload now. I stepped into the elevator and ran into Lin Wei before the doors sealed shut. Her expression was tangled with guilt and quiet frustration, the kind that came from knowing a terrible call but lacking authority to reverse it. The layoff wasn't my call, Sue Wan. Zhou Han, the VP poached from our rival last month, pushed the full restructuring agenda. What reasoning did he give for axing an employee handling 8 departments' core operations? Lin Wei hesitated, glancing over her shoulder to ensure no passing staff overheard their private conversation before answering. He claims an entry-level admin role drawing supervisor-level pay is a financial imbalance the company can't sustain right now. He never sat down to review your full scope of work before signing off on the layoff list. A dry, bitter huff escaped me. 12 years building the entire internal operational backbone of this firm, reduced to an overpaid admin clerk in the eyes of a man who'd walked through the front doors 30 days prior. All right then, if that's the official verdict, there's nothing more to discuss. The elevator dinged for the ground floor, cold March rain slashing against the glass lobby doors. I hadn't brought an umbrella, so I stood under the awning for 10 minutes waiting for a ride, staring at the corporate logo I'd seen every weekday for over 4,000 straight days. 12 years of early mornings, overtime weekends, uncompensated cross-department troubleshooting erased in a single signed document. By the time I unlocked my apartment front door, Su Nian, my 16-year-old sophomore daughter, hadn't gotten home from school yet. I tossed my bag aside, scrambled a simple egg fried rice for lunch, and pulled up job recruitment websites to rewrite my resume. 43, female, bachelor's degree. Official job title only administrative clerk on paper. On the surface, my profile looked hopelessly uncompetitive against younger candidates with flashy job titles. My phone buzzed nonstop before I finished updating my work history. 17 separate WeChat messages all sent from Chen Lei within a single hour, each one a panicked plea for file locations, password combinations, and workflow shortcuts I'd refined over a decade. First message, where's the vendor comparison spreadsheet for procurement? I can't locate the shared drive folder you mentioned. I typed back, second-tier shared drive folder, file titled 2024 Vendor Comprehensive Evaluation. 10 minutes later, another ping. The financial reconciliation template you built's password locked. What's the passcode to unlock editing access? Response, 2019 yuan. The year the group headquarters launched our unified finance system. 20 minutes after that, marketing's Zhao manager says the monthly event scheduling trackers missing next quarter's entries. She swears you always handled that prep work. Response, I logged all upcoming events on the 25th of each month before the new quarter kicked off. Now that I'm gone, she'll need to compile her own event details and input them manually. After the 17th frantic message begging for step-by-step walkthroughs, I sent one blunt line and muted his chat thread entirely. I've completed all formal termination procedures. I'm no longer a Hengyuan employee. I can't keep fielding work requests off the clock. Chen replied with a teary emoji and a paragraph begging me to come back and fix everything, but I closed the app without responding further. By 6 p.m., Su Nian dragged her backpack through the doorway, pausing the second she spotted me lingering in the living room instead of rushing out the door for my usual evening overtime shift. You got laid off, didn't you? You never finish work this early otherwise. I nodded, too drained to sugarcoat the truth for her. N+1 severance totals roughly 150,000 RMB once processed. She set her school bag down on the entry mat and sat shoulder to shoulder with me on the sofa, calculating silently in her head for a beat. Combined with our savings fund, that'll cover our living expenses for 8 months if we budget carefully. No rush to grab a new job immediately, Mom. I brushed a strand of hair off her forehead, my chest softening. Her father abandoned us when she turned 3, claiming overseas career opportunities he never followed through on. For 14 years, it's just the two of us navigating rent, tuition, and daily bills without a second income to fall back on. She's always mature beyond her age, quiet but fiercely sharp-witted, never demanding luxury or extra attention. 9 p.m. rolled around when Lucia, an old admin coworker I'd worked alongside for 8 years, dialed my cell, her voice crackling with barely contained shock the second I picked up. The entire office is blowing up over your termination today. Chun-Lei couldn't maintain the client complaint classification system you built from scratch. Completely crashed mid-afternoon, all unresolved tickets unfiltered. 2 core technical projects nearly overlapped their delivery deadlines because no one's updating the timeline dashboard you manage daily. The CEO's board meeting prep documents for tomorrow's investor summit don't exist. Nobody on the executive team knew you were the sole person drafting those every week. He's furious, demanding to know why daily operations collapsed overnight after one layoff. I leaned back against the couch cushions, listening without interrupting her rapid-fire recap of chaos unfolding across every department I'd supported for years. Does he, Jiangwo, our CEO, finally understand exactly what I handle day in and day out? Lin Wei sat him down to walk through your workload breakdown this afternoon. She told him straight, this isn't just an admin vacancy we cut loose. This is Sue Wan, the person holding 8 departments together single-handedly. I hang up the call, staring blankly at my resume draft open on the laptop screen, fully unaware a top-tier management consulting firm's founding partner just sent me a private recruitment invite for an executive operations director role, an executive position no 43-year-old admin clerk should ever qualify for on paper. Meanwhile, Chun-Lei's desperate midnight phone calls are already queuing up, and VP Zhou Han's overconfident dismissal of my value is about to unravel entirely as Heng Yuan's leadership scrambles to reverse their catastrophic layoff call. My phone blared at 8 a.m. the next morning, Chun-Lei's contact photo flashing across the screen instead of a text thread this time. He resorted to direct calls after my WeChat mute block. I accepted the line, ready for another round of panicking pleas for off-the-clock support. The client complaint backend login credentials. I can't track down the operation manual you filed internally. IT claims there's no official documentation stored on their servers. I uploaded a full step-by-step guide to the company internal knowledge base years ago. Search the keyword, Client Complaint Classification System User Handbook, to pull it up. I heard frantic keyboard tapping through the receiver for 30 long seconds before his defeated tone filtered back through the speaker. I've run every related search term 0 results. It's like the file was deleted entirely from the server archives. Then whoever had admin clearance for the knowledge base wiped it without cross-department coordination. Not much I can remotely fix from outside the building now. Chen's voice cracked, genuine desperation bleeding through every syllable of his request. Can you swing by the office just for 1 hour to walk me through the core system workflows? I'll cover your taxi fare, whatever you need. I completed all legal separation paperwork with HR yesterday. I have no contractual obligation to return and resolve company operational failures created by upper management's layoff choice. Please, Sue Wan, I'm begging you, I'll get written approval from leadership for temporary reentry. I ended the call without another exchange, opening 3 administrative supervisor and office manager job postings to submit applications through recruitment platforms, fully convinced I'd be stuck applying for entry-level mid-management roles for months to come. By noon, Lin Wei sent a formal work chat message requesting a quick audio conversation. He, Jiangwo, wants to invite you back to the company to resolve all the operational breakdowns your departure triggered. What official role would I return to occupy? The original admin position was marked eliminated per Zhou Han's restructuring plan. There's no desk or salary band reserved for me anymore. Silence stretched for 10 minutes on her end before she typed out a lengthy reply laying bare the internal power struggle tearing apart senior management. Zhou Han refuses to reverse the layoff ruling. He insists all the cross-department tasks you managed can be evenly distributed among existing team members without dedicated oversight, even though every department had submitted formal memos stating their teams lack bandwidth to absorb extra labor. I scoffed quietly to myself reading her message, typing a blunt response that laid bare 12 years of uncompensated labor exploitation. For 12 years, dumping these high-skill system-building tasks on a single entry-level clerk didn't strike any manager as an unfair workload burden. Now that I'm gone, suddenly distributing that exact same work feels impossible for every department. Funny how perspective shifts when the free labor source disappears. Lin Wei never sent a follow-up reply after that message. 3 p.m. rolled around when a brand new private message popped up on my recruitment platform inbox, sent by Shen Yi, co-founding partner of Reha Consulting, a top 20 national management consulting firm with a client roster filled with mid to large enterprise groups identical to Heng Yuan. The job title listed wasn't basic admin management. It was Chief Operations Director, annual base salary listed at 350,000 renminbi. His opening line read, as Sue Wan, our consulting team has tracked your internal operational architecture work at Heng Yuan Group for over 12 months. We'd like to schedule an interview to discuss a full-time executive opening on our core strategy team tomorrow at 10 a.m. I pulled up Rueha's corporate background materials to verify credibility. Fewer than 50 full-time staff, rapid 3-year revenue growth, specializing in streamlining broken internal workflows for SMEs drowning in disjointed cross-department systems. An admin clerk with no official supervisory title receiving a direct executive interview invite from a prestigious consulting firm was something I never anticipated seeing at 43. I typed a quick confirmation agreeing to the 10 a.m. interview window, then spent the rest of the afternoon organizing all my archived workflow templates, vendor evaluation frameworks, and client complaint system logic diagrams to bring as interview supporting materials. Su Nian glanced up mid-homework as I spread printed documents across the dining table, pen pausing above her math workbook. New job interview lined up. Executive Operations Director position at a consulting firm. Her eyebrows shot upward, processing the massive title jump from my decades-long clerk role. You've only ever been listed as an admin on every official company roster at Hingyuan. How are they offering you a director's spot straight out of a layoff? They reached out to me unsolicited. No resume application submitted on my end. Su Nian fell silent for a minute, piecing together 12 years of watching me pull after hours overtime fixing every department's messy internal processes without a raise or title promotion to match my workload. They've been deliberately suppressing your actual value the entire time you worked there, haven't they? All that core company infrastructure you built, and they labeled you a basic clerk to underpay you indefinitely. I didn't give a verbal response, just nodded faintly, and she returned her homework, muttering a quiet, unfiltered remark under her breath that summed up every ounce of unspoken frustration I'd carried for over a decade. Then they deserve every single mess they're drowning in right now for taking advantage of you like that. The next morning, I drove to Rueha's sleek downtown high-rise office building, far newer and more minimalist than Hingyuan's outdated corporate tower. The receptionist escorted me into a glass-walled conference room where Shun Yi waited, mid-30s, wire-rimmed glasses, sharp, direct speaking cadence typical of senior consulting partners. Thank you for making the trip, Ms. Su-Wan. Let's cut straight to the background question you're definitely curious about. How our team uncovered your work at Hingyuan. I sat down across the conference table, leaning forward slightly. I'd appreciate clarity on that first, honestly. My official job title never carried any cross-department architecture responsibilities. There's no public industry record linking me to those internal systems I built. Shen Yi slid a thick-bound research report across the table toward me, filled with annotated screenshots of the SOP documents, reconciliation templates, and classification databases I designed over the years. We conducted a full operational diagnostic audit at Hingyuan last spring for a client project. Our analysts noticed every standardized process file, vendor risk matrix, and client tracking framework across 8 departments shared identical formatting, logical structure, and formatting quirks, clear marker that one single employee drafted every foundational document in the firm. We interviewed over a dozen long-tenured staff members to trace the origin, and a retiring senior engineer finally confirmed all internal operational infrastructure traces back to you, the administrative clerk no senior manager ever bothered to meet with during our audit visits. I flipped through the printed report pages, staring at annotated breakdowns of systems I'd thrown together in spare overtime hours, never once recognized or rewarded by Hingyuan's leadership team. I just built those tools to cut down everyone's redundant daily busywork, never considered them high-value proprietary business frameworks worthy of outside consulting analysis. Shun Yi fixed me with an intense, honest stare, outlining the brutal value gap Hingyuan exploited for 12 years. You're drastically underselling your work. Hingyuan Group paid an entry-level clerk's yearly salary for a full-time operations director's output for over a decade. This firm's entire internal operational backbone was constructed by someone buried under a meaningless admin job title with zero matching compensation or authority. He paused, dropping a bombshell career twist that completely rewrote my expected interview outcome. I'm not interviewing you for a standard executive operations director role, actually. We're offering you a founding operations partner position within our firm's brand new SME system construction vertical. Chapter 2 cliffhanger, 420-word major plot reversal setup. I freeze mid-sentence, stunned at the partner title offer, as Shun Yi slides a formal profit-sharing compensation agreement across the table guaranteeing a minimum 400,000 renminbi annual base salary plus project profit splits once the business line scales. Before I can process the life-changing offer, Chun Lei's panicked incoming call lights up my phone screen, carrying explosive news that VP Zhou Han openly dismissed my 12 years of core work as overstepping, out-of-bounds clerk meddling during an all-department leadership meeting that morning. Chapter 3, VP's baseless threats and the hidden legal loophole, word count, 2,586. I set the partnership contract down on the conference table, requesting 48 hours to fully review the terms before delivering a final decision to Shen Yi, who agreed without pressuring an immediate answer and handed over a digital copy of the full proposal to my work email for offline review at home. Stepping out of the Rueha office building into bright midday sunlight, my phone immediately began ringing again, Chin Lei's number flashing on the caller ID once more. I accepted the call, bracing for another wave of office chaos updates from the overburdened operations supervisor stuck cleaning up the mess Zhou Han's reckless layoff created. Disaster struck at the leadership roundtable this morning, Su-Wan. Zhou Han publicly claimed every cross-department task you maintained fell outside your official admin job scope, calling your 12 years of system building reckless overreach, and accusing you of overstepping clear role boundaries. His exact argument was all those process frameworks should have been independently managed by each department's own supervisors from day one. He's insisting your willingness to absorb extra labor created unsustainable corporate dependency on a single low-level staff member. I leaned against a concrete street lamp outside the office complex, absorbing Zhou Han's delusional, self-serving framing of 12 years of voluntary overtime support as a disciplinary infraction rather than a company-saving asset. How did department heads push back against that absurd take during the meeting? Marketing manager Zhao spoke up outright, calling out the event scheduling vacuum your departure created. She told the entire leadership team if Zhou Han considers your long-term cross-department coordination overstepping, the marketing team would gladly welcome you back to resume handling quarterly release timelines no one else on her staff can manage efficiently. What was CEO He Jianguo's reaction to that public pushback against the VP's restructuring logic? He sat silent through the entire exchange, no verbal stance taken one way or another, while Zhou Han's face turned beet red from public pushback against his flawed restructuring plan. I hung up the call, walking slowly toward the taxi stand, my mind cycling back over 12 years of unacknowledged labor, wondering exactly when I gradually become the uncompensated backbone of 8 separate departments without a single promotion conversation from upper management. Back home that evening, I pulled up Shen Yi's full partnership proposal on my home laptop, breaking down every clause line by line to parse authority levels, startup funding commitments, revenue split thresholds, and long-term decision-making power within the new business vertical. 3 critical core questions jumped out that required direct clarification with a consulting co-founder before signing any binding agreement. I dialed Shani's private work line to lay out my 3 core negotiating points clearly and concisely. First, what internal corporate authority tier does this operations partner title hold within Rueja's organizational chart? Am I equal standing with you as founding co-lead of the new vertical? Complete equal voting power on all business line strategy, client onboarding standards, pricing frameworks, and team hiring decisions. No secondary subordinate reporting structure attached to the partner role. Second, who covers all startup capital expenses for the SME system construction division? Am I required to invest personal capital into launching the new service line? Rueja absorbs 100% of all launch costs for staffing, software subscriptions, client marketing, and office resources. Your sole contribution to the vertical is your 12 years of proprietary operational architecture expertise. No financial investment required from you whatsoever. Third, what market data backs confidence this service vertical will generate consistent profitable client demand long-term? Shani's low, confident chuckle filtered through the phone receiver as he laid out the massive untapped market demand my specialized skill set perfectly positioned us to capture nationwide. Over 40 million small and medium-sized enterprises operate within China's current business landscape, and 80% lack standardized, cross-functional internal operation systems tailored to their team sizes. Hunyuan's collapse post-layoff is just one high-profile demonstration of how many businesses completely break down without cohesive, streamlined internal workflows built from on-the-ground operational experience. Your unique expertise fills a massive unmet market gap no generic consulting firm can replicate. I told him I needed 3 full days to weigh the full partnership offer before delivering my definitive yes or no response, and he agreed without pushing for a rushed signature deadline. Shortly after ending the call, 3 unread text messages popped up on my phone's message inbox, the third originating from an unfamiliar private cell number I quickly identified as Johan's personal line once I opened the text body. Sue 1, word reached me you're circulating rumors externally claiming Hunyuan can't operate without your labor. I'd advise you to tread carefully. Your employment contract signed a formal non-compete clause during onboarding, legal penalties for violation equal to your full prior year's annual salary. I pulled out my physical copy of the Hunyuan employment contract from a home file cabinet, flipping directly to the non-compete addendum fine print I'd memorized years ago while assisting the admin team with contract review tasks for new hires. 2 critical legal loopholes Johan deliberately ignored to threaten me with unwarranted litigation jumped off the page immediately. The 1-year non-compete restriction only activated if Hunyuan dispersed monthly legally mandated non-compete compensation payments within 30 days of termination, and the clause explicitly excluded basic administrative clerk roles from its scope of restricted employment fields entirely. I typed a calm, factual reply dismantling his hollow legal threat point by point. No hostile language, just clear contractual evidence to undercut his intimidation tactic. 1. I've never shared negative internal Hunyuan operational details with any outside third party. No rumor circulation on my end. Point 2. Per Article 7 of our employment non-compete addendum, the clause only holds legal weight if Hunyuan disperses monthly restriction compensation within 30 calendar days post-termination. No payments have been issued to my bank account to date, automatically voiding the entire agreement. 3. To cross-reference the role restriction paragraph of the same addendum, administrative clerk positions are fully exempt from all non-compete employment limitations per company legal policy. After sending the message, I blocked Johan's phone number entirely to eliminate further harassment attempts. Su Nian stepped out of her bedroom carrying a glass of warm milk, noticing the sharp, focused tension etched across my facial features as I stared at the contract fine print on my desk. Someone's giving you trouble over your old job? Just the newly hired VP trying to threaten me with an unenforceable non-compete lawsuit. Nothing worth worrying over. She studied my expression for a beat, commenting on the sharp, decisive way I typed out my rebuttal text to Johan's intimidating message. Your typing face looks really intimidating when you're laying out legal facts to people trying to bully you. I cracked a faint smile at her dry observation, waving her back to finish her nightly homework before she retreated to her bedroom, leaving me to continue reviewing the Rueja partnership proposal uninterrupted. I closed the partnership document review tab, fully convinced I can negotiate a more favorable profit split threshold with Shani and hatch a game-changing client plan to pitch Rueja, taking Hunyuan Group on as our flagship launch client for the new SME system vertical, leveraging my intimate 12-year insider knowledge of their broken internal workflows to deliver a guaranteed operational overhaul solution no external consulting team could replicate. Unbeknownst to me, CEO He Jianguo is already planning an unannounced private home visit to beg me to return to Hunyuan on vastly upgraded executive terms Johan refuses to authorize. 3 full days passed while I combed every line of Rueja's partnership contract, drafting a single adjustment to send over to Shen Yi before our formal agreement talk. The original split rule only kicked in once the business line hit 2 million annual profit, and I planned to push that threshold down to 1 million. My years building real-world enterprise workflows meant I knew how fast standardized operation packages could turn consistent profit, and I wasn't willing to wait an extra year for shared earnings. I dialed Shen's office line mid-morning, fingers resting on the finalized revision draft saved to my desktop. Shen Yi, I've gone through your proposal thoroughly, and I'm ready to give you an answer with one small modification to the profit terms. Go ahead, I'm listening closely. Shift the profit-sharing starting benchmark from 2 million to 1 million in yearly project revenue. I've built end-to-end operational frameworks for dozens of departments over 12 years. I know how quickly mid-sized businesses sign follow-up optimization packages once they see tangible efficiency gains. I don't want to delay splitting profits for an extra calendar year. There was a short pause on his end as he ran quick mental projections for our startup vertical's expected client pipeline. That's a bold ask, but I can't argue with your hands-on industry insight. We'll rewrite the clause to start profit splits at 1 million gross revenue deal. I nodded to myself at the desk, already laying out my flagship client pitch before he could move on to next agenda items. One more major piece of planning I've mapped out for the new vertical. Our first official enterprise client will be Hengyuan Group. Shun Yi's tone sharpened instantly, pure shock evident in his voice. Wait, your former employer, the same company that just cut you loose and collapsed without your core systems running. That feels risky. Aren't there bound to be lingering biases from their VP, Johan? It's not risky. It's the perfect launch case study. No external consultant on the market understands every single process flaw, vendor loophole, and cross-department bottleneck at Hengyuan better than I do. I built their entire infrastructure from zero, so our diagnostic and reconstruction package will be tailor-made to fix every breakdown they're currently drowning in. I won't handle direct client meetings with Heng staff myself, though. Your team leads all on-site interviews and presentations. I stay behind the scenes drafting the full overhaul blueprint. Shun let out a quiet, impressed breath over the call speaker. I'll admit I didn't anticipate that play, but it's genius positioning from a consulting perspective. We get a high-profile corporate case to build our portfolio, and you avoid any direct confrontation with Zhou Han while the work gets done. I'll task our senior project lead Yumanxia to lead the Hengyuan on-site team once the contract lands. We wrap the call after locking in our revised contract terms, and I shut my laptop to take a break from drafting overhaul frameworks for Hengyuan's fractured internal workflows. Less than an hour later, a sharp knock echoed through my front entryway, no delivery notification, no pre-planned visitors scheduled for the afternoon. I pulled the door open without checking the peephole first, and froze on the threshold. Standing on my mat with a paper fruit gift bag clutched in one hand was He Jiangwo, Hengyuan CEO, graying hair messy from rushing straight from the office without stopping home first. Su-Wan, sorry to drop by uninvited. I hope I'm not disrupting your afternoon. I stepped sideways to let him cross the entry hall into the living room, pouring a plain cup of hot tea and setting it on the coffee table between us before sitting opposite him on the sofa. You didn't need to bring anything, Mr. He. I already know the reason you've traveled all the way to my apartment unannounced. You're here to convince me to come back to work at Hengyu. He gripped the warm ceramic mug between both palms, shoulders slumping with visible weariness. No attempt to sugarcoat his intentions or mask his guilt. You hit the nail on the head, but I fully expected you to turn me down before I even drove over here. Still, I needed to say this to your face rather than sending a cold corporate message through HR or middle management. 12 years I spent coming into this office every single day, yet you never once stopped to ask what full scope of work I was carrying across 8 departments. That's the core failure here, not just Zhou Han's rush layoff call. He nodded slowly, gaze dropping to the floor tiles for a beat before lifting his eyes back to mine, voice heavy with genuine remorse. You're completely right. That falls squarely on my oversight as the top executive of this company. This past week, without your operational guardrails in place, we've logged 19 separate critical breakdowns across finance, marketing, tech, procurement, and executive admin. 7 of those issues I didn't even realize existed until the systems you maintained stopped functioning overnight. Our internal Excel project tracker you built for the tech division fell apart entirely. The team tried switching to expensive commercial software, but none of the staff can navigate the rigid generic templates after years relying on your streamlined custom layout. I stayed neutral in my tone. No anger flaring up, just plain factual observation. All those broken workflows aren't my responsibility to repair anymore, Mr. He. If Hengyuan needs its systems fixed, there are consulting firms that specialize in operational reconstruction you can contract. He leaned forward across the coffee table, elbows resting on his knees, urgency thickening his speech. I came to ask if you could recommend a reputable firm to send our way, if you're firm on refusing to return full-time. I gave him Rueha Consulting's official corporate contact line and core service introduction, spelling out our new SME operation vertical clearly. The firm I've partnered with just launched a brand new line dedicated exactly to fixing disjointed enterprise internal systems. Reach out to their front desk to schedule a formal business consultation. He jotted the phone number and firm name down on a small notebook he pulled from his suit jacket pocket, then paused, remembering the other conflict lingering between me and the company's newly installed VP. Before I leave, there's another matter I need to address with you directly. Zhou Han sent you that threatening non-compete text message a few days back, correct? I gave a short confirming hum, and his grip on the teacup tightened hard enough that his knuckles whitened against the ceramic surface, frustration bubbling to the surface at Zhou's reckless power play. That was completely out of line, entirely unauthorized by executive leadership. I'll personally handle all legal correspondence regarding that non-compete addendum to eliminate any further harassment from him toward you. We wrapped our conversation shortly after that, He Jiangwo heading back to his sedan parked outside my residential complex, the fruit bag he'd brought left sitting untouched on my dining counter once he exited the door. Minutes after his car pulled out of the street view, my phone pinged with a work message forwarded from Yumanxia at Rueha. Hengyuan's administrative department had just submitted an official consultation inquiry request for operational overhaul service, directly authorized and signed off by He Jiangwo himself. The quoted project budget on the initial form hit 800,000 RMB, a figure large enough to make even seasoned consulting staff double-check the submitted paperwork twice. Our designated lead contact on the Hengyuan project was listed as Chen Lei, the operations supervisor who'd bombarded me with dozens of panicked off-hours messages the week I got laid off. I stared at his name typed across the digital document for a long moment, a quiet, complicated mix of pity and detachment settling over me. He'd never been malicious, just overloaded and powerless to push back against upper management's terrible restructuring decisions when they landed on his desk. I pulled up our internal Rueha project workspace and drafted the full Hengyuan Group operational diagnostic reconstruction blueprint over the next 72 hours straight. Every process gap, vendor risk, reporting error, and cross-department coordination failure I documented over 12 years went straight into the formal deliverables file. No second-guessing, no toning down critical flaws to spare Hengyuan's leadership hurt feelings. Once the full 68-page master plan was finalized and uploaded to our shared drive for the team to review, Shuni pulled me aside in our new Rueha office space the following Monday morning for a private one-on-one chat. I've gone through every page of your Hingyuan overhaul proposal, and I'm genuinely blown away by the level of granular detail you've packed in here. This document isn't just an 80,000 yuan consulting deliverable. It's worth 8 million in long-term enterprise value if you factor in all the recurring optimization follow-up work it'll generate from them. I shrugged off his praise without overindulging in self-congratulation. It's just all the fixes I've been meaning to pitch to their management for over a decade, finally structured into a formal paid consulting package now that they're willing to pay to resolve the mess they created by cutting me loose. Yu Manxiao led the on-site Hingyuan kickoff meeting in my place as planned, reporting back to me via private voice call once the session wrapped that afternoon. Her tone carried obvious shock as she recounted the room's reaction to my uncredited blueprint presentation. Chun-Lei sat there flipping through your framework slides for 10 minutes straight without speaking a single word, then asked flat out how our team managed to map every single internal bottleneck Hingyuan's dealing with right down to the exact monthly scheduling errors marketing runs into. Zhao from marketing even pulled me aside afterward to ask if we had an internal insider feeding us company data behind closed doors. She couldn't wrap her head around how precise every proposed solution was for their department's unique pain points. I asked one quick follow-up question before she could finish her recap of the meeting. Was Zhou Han present for the project launch briefing? Yu Manxiao's voice dropped to a quieter, cautious volume over the phone line. He submitted a formal leave request the morning of the kickoff, claimed an out-of-town client meeting he couldn't reschedule. Word circulating through Hingyuan's admin floor is he's clashing viciously with He Jiangwo behind closed doors over the consulting contract approval. Zhou's arguing pouring 800 grand into external operations fixes undermines his original staff cut optimization strategy he pitched to the board months prior. This marked the first major full plot reversal since my layoff. Zhou Han thought axing me would streamline costs and cement his authority as the new VP, but his rush decision created a multi-100,000 yuan consulting bill the company was forced to pay me indirectly, all for work I'd been handling free of charge for 12 years prior, with zero recognition or extra payback then. A week after the Hingyuan project kickoff, Yu Manxiao sends an urgent encrypted message alerting me Zhou Han's retaliatory counterplay. He's reached out to a low-tier digital software vendor he's personally connected with, named Lingheng Digital, pushing He Jiangwo to split the project budget and run their expensive 3 million yuan generic digitization system alongside our custom operational overhaul plan in parallel, hoping to prove my framework unnecessary and tank our consulting contract. Mid-execution. Lingheng's software lacks any customization built around Hingyuan's unique department workflows, and I know the system will crash within a month of full rollout. Yet He Jiangwo, desperate to appease his newly hired VP to avoid mass executive turnover threats, agrees to trial both solutions side by side, setting the stage for a high-stakes head-to-head test of systems that will expose Zhou Han's hidden personal financial ties to the vendor firm entirely.